Well, good afternoon, folks. It's Saturday and it is a rainy, horrible day in North Lincolnshire in the United Kingdom. This is my next project. I did a video several videos ago about fitting an Apeman camera dash cam to my Interceptor and how to fabricate a bracket, in my case using a piece of black plastic drain pipe, cutting a piece, bending it to make a bracket and so on. These were a couple of Apeman cameras that I bought about 4 or 5 years ago, actually from a petrol station forecourt, thinking they wouldn't be much good, but in actual fact I've got one in my pickup truck and I've got one on the Interceptor. However, just looking into it again recently, and I see that they've now produce the C550 dash camera with a rear camera as well, which is hardwired into the camera unit. So this is just an unboxing video at this stage. I'm going to do it in stages to show what's in the box. So it turns up in a very quickly in a cardboard box, obviously, with a comprehensible user manual. It's actually in proper English and very readable. And now I know from my other two Apeman cameras that they're very intuitive, they're really easy to use, and the quality of the footage is actually well good enough to, you know, in the event of an accident, you can read reg numbers. I'm going to try and post some video once I install this and post some video onto this channel of the results, but it's more than enough. You know, the ones I've got in my truck and my Interceptor, you know, if somebody pulls out in front of you, or a pedestrian walks out in front of you, or a cyclist swerves, it'd be easy to say afterwards, you know, oh yes, a motorcyclist ran down a cyclist, therefore it's the motorcyclist's fault. Well, that may not be the case. So this little gadget, it was only 43 quid delivered. I'll put a link in the video description. So there it is with the user manual removed. The camera, the forward-facing camera, is obviously in a little polythene bag. The accessories box on the right-hand side contains the rear camera. And I put some photos in this video next to a tape measure so you can see what sort of size everything is. They're not huge at all. It's no bigger than the one I've already got on my Interceptor, you know, subject of a previous video. And this is the actual camera itself unwrapped. Obviously there is a film over the screen. That screen there gives you a video picture of what the camera's seeing, and you can set it to go off after, I think it's 10 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. Obviously, you're not going to be riding or driving along with your head craning forward, looking down at what's on the screen, if you've got any sense. So it's purely an indication of what the camera's seeing. Now, if you look at the top of that picture, that camera lens moves up and down through probably about 30 degrees in various click-stop positions. So you can angle it to get the best view. This next picture shows the actual physical size of the main camera unit. So as you can see, it's about 9.5 centimeters. So it's no bigger than the one I've already got on the Interceptor. Now, technically it's not waterproof. The rear camera, which I'll show in a separate picture, is waterproof. This one is not billed as being waterproof. However, I've got the Apeman on my Interceptor right now, and it's in my back garden getting covered in rain, and it regularly does, and it doesn't affect it at all. However, it's easy enough to disconnect it and put it in your pocket. And the rear camera, which you can see in this next photo, is sorry, not this one. That's the width of the main camera unit. It's very intuitive on the pressing of buttons, and it comes with a 32 gigabyte mini SD card, which is okay. I found originally on the ones in my truck and on the Interceptor that you have to format it. In other words, you'd have to erase your footage It can be, you know, a couple of weeks depending on how much you use your bike. So what I did when Lidl had a promotion on, they were selling 128 gig mini SD cards for about 10 quid. So I just bought 2 of those, and I don't have to format the card now for 2 or 3 months at a time. There's the rear camera. It's a tiny little thing. It would easily go underneath the rear light unit. The red blob on it, that's just a protective film over the lens, which I've not taken off yet. I'll do that once I've installed it on the bike. So obviously that bracket there, by loosening a couple of screws, it can be moved. The camera can move up and down on the bracket, so it'll be perfect for fitting at the rear of the bike. It is hardwired, so you can see the jack plug there. There's absolutely loads of cable on it. There's more than enough to go from the back to the front of the bike easily. In fact, I'm amazed that they can sell these at 42 quid or 42.99 or whatever it was, really, when you consider what you get. So it's about 3 centimetres cubed. It also has a microphone. The front one has a microphone. The rear camera's 720 definition. The front one is 1080. And certainly I'm pleased with the ones. That's why I bought this, because the 2 forward-facing only 8-man cameras I've got on my 2 vehicles, you know, they're good enough. Absolutely, they would, you know, satisfy any insurer. Or if you get somebody pulls out in front of you, you know, and says, "Oh, it was his fault, or he was going too fast, or whatever," you know. It always many years ago, a pedestrian stood in the middle of the main road and for no explicable reason whatsoever walked straight out in front of my brand new Yamaha XS1100, and I hit them. They did a complete somersault in the air, landed on my fuel tank and completely wrecked it, broke the headlamp of the bike. It was brand new, and then they ran off, and despite my best efforts I could never find them. So obviously these days, you know, 40 years on, people are more litigious and say, well, you know, I was safely crossing the road and he ran me over. Well, not in that particular instance. So this camera, for 42 quid, could make the difference between a successful prosecution and an unsuccessful one, is my view. And as I say, my front cameras have been waterproof. So there's all the bits. That's a view of the forward-facing camera. Again, that film on it is, you know, to pull off to protect the lens. So I'll take that off at the end. So it comes with a Type-C USB lead. It's got a cigarette lighter type socket with a built-in power cable and also a spare USB slot. So that would be handy on, for example, my pan-European Honda, which only has the cigarette lighter type socket. It's got a little proggler that you get with an iPhone, you know, or mobiles for pushing your SD card out. It's a really good comprehensive kit. It's about the standard 1080 forward and 720 rear. Here's another view of the main camera itself, and you can see it's only got the 5 buttons on it, and you get little menus. You double click it, and in fact I didn't even read the instructions on my previous 2, and I'm terrible at, you know, just not reading instructions. But this, it was really easy. And then just you can set it to you know, the screen will go off after so many seconds. You can have it recording constantly. You can have it overwrite itself every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or just keep running and recording, you know. So if it's for accident or avoiding accident prosecution purposes, you probably want it to overwrite every 10 minutes or something. The instruction booklet is, as I say, very comprehensible. That plastic mount there is where the camera clicks onto it. It just sort of slides backwards. There's the actual rear view camera again. It also comes with like a plastic lever, which I was trying to figure out what on earth this lever is for. I think it's for when fitting in a car, you know, for prising trim and running the rear view camera cable, you know, underneath bits of plastic in a car or whatever. This next shot shows the actual cigarette lighter type connector with its built-in USB port, which could be handy if you've not got a modern USB on the bike. As you can see there, it's a tiny little camera at the back. Obviously on my Interceptor I've got a power splitter from the headlamp, and I run a dual USB port off that's attached to my handlebars, so I can use that for charging my phone or sat nav, or in this case a camera. This next picture shows the USB, I think it's a Type C lead, so it's pretty common, and it's certainly long enough to go to, you know, unless your USB port's halfway backwards on the bike, which is not likely, it'll be on the handlebars, won't it, somewhere around there. So that lead there is easily long enough to plug in the main camera. Now I've noticed on my other two 8-man ones that on my Interceptor I've got a tinted screen, and I know when I turn it on it's linked to the ignition on the Interceptor. Obviously the power splitter's dead unless your kill switch is in the on position and your keys turned on, and I can see the camera on the screen adjust its exposure even with a tinted screen. So I personally am perfectly happy that it would be more than enough evidence in the case of an insurance claim. You know, I mean, there's a lot of cyclists where I live, and they often ride 2 abreast, sometimes 3 abreast. You get one of them wobbles or, you know, swerves to avoid a rabbit or whatever, you know, and then obviously you give a wide berth to cyclists. But I've known cyclists pull out of a junction without even looking right. You know, they'll pull out of a junction and just straight blithely go in front of you as if they don't need to look. So this, I believe, will be absolute definite proof. As you can see there, you've got the Type C lead on the left, you've got the 32 gig SD card, the lever, the SIG lighter socket, rear camera, plenty of lead on it with a jack plug, so you don't have to use all of that lead because it's got a plug in the middle where you can shorten it. And this final shot shows the opening photo of the box itself. So there's my thoughts on it. I'm going to do a separate videos on this where I will fit it to the bike and show how I did it and where it fits onto my bike. And then what I'll do is I've managed to acquire a laptop PC because I don't normally have one, so I should be able to download footage off the SD card and post it onto this channel to show what it looks like through my tinted screen and rear view and so on. So there you have it. I thought I'd share that with anybody, and I'll put a link in the description, and let me know your comments. In the meantime, take care and bye for now.